Welcome to our, I believe this is number 10 episode of Backyard Brothers. January 25th, we are closing in on some important playoff games that we're going to talk about, both the ones from last week as well as the upcoming conference championship games to find out who goes to the Super Bowl. So we're going to recap the four games that happened this last weekend and then talk about these two upcoming games. And we will go from there. And like last week, we're just going to go in the order that the games happened and in the order that we introduced them. So we're going to start with that first game. And I'm not prepared because I'm trying to remember right now what that first game was.
Jaguars Chiefs.
Jaguars Chiefs.
Thank you. So a couple things to talk about in this one, but the Chiefs raced out to a pretty substantial lead. And I think all three of us said that was going to happen. I think they went out to about a 10-0, 14-0 lead, something like that. And the Jaguars started to come back. And that's when the game turned quite a bit, when Patrick Mahomes sprained an ankle. And that really limited what the Chiefs could do on offense, but they won the game thanks to both Chad Henne going a 96-yard drive for a touchdown, and then Patrick Mahomes leading them down for a touchdown of his own late in the game to close out a pretty close what ended up being a pretty close game. Jaguars had some turnovers, and so jump into just some quick thoughts. Again, that ankle injury changed that course of the game, and it possibly could change the course of this upcoming as well. The Jaguars gave it away. They had some turnovers. They had a couple fumbles. They had an interception. They had a chance to really close in and win that game, but they just didn't do it because they had some turnovers that forced them to do it. So that's the way that game went. And let's move on. Yeah, Cody.
My thoughts on the game. So I said that it was going to be defenses showing off in the first half, and that they would go into the half Chiefs up 17-14. And I was really close. It was 17-10 at the half. And so I was kind of proud about that. But then I said that in the second half Chiefs would just take off with it, which didn't end up happening, thanks to a sprained ankle of Patrick Mahomes. But this is Mahomes we're talking about. Even, evidently a sprained ankle still can't even stop him. But also, I want to talk a little bit about Travis Kelce, just really quick. Travis Kelce is ridiculous, and he deserves to be on the list, in my opinion, of one of the best tight ends ever to play the game. He has had 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons now. 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. If he's out there, I mean, you're either going to win the game or you're going to get really close, and that's it. So Patrick Mahomes wasn't on the field. Chad Henne comes out, and what do? They just target Kelce the whole time. And that's the smart thing to do. Give the ball to Kelce, and you can take care of it. So I think they won because of Travis Kelce. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has a say in that too, of what happened. But with a sprained ankle, it was lean on Kelce time, not Mahomes.
I like that. I agree with you, Cody. Kelsey, I don't know, me as the basketball guy, I think about, the basketball player where it's just like, all right, end of the game, give him the ball. He's going to score every time. It's I'm going to score or get fouled. And that's how Kelsey is he's going to catch it or get a pass interference or a holding call and going to advance the ball anyway. So, yeah, very impressive. Talking about the Jaguars, I'm very impressed with the Jaguars. I was very excited to see them advance to this game and do fairly well against the Chiefs. We're talking about a team who last year I believe they went 2-15 or something like that, and fired a coach, Urban Meyer, who's unfortunately is going down as kind of one of the worst NFL hires of all time, based on everything that happened last year, and then completely turn it around and end up in the playoffs, advancing to the divisional round and putting up a good fight against, one of the strongest dynasties of the current age. So very impressed, very good game. I'm excited to see what the Jaguars and especially Trevor Lawrence bring next year. But I was happy for a Chiefs win. I think while watching the game, I was kind of cheering for both teams. And my wife asked me, like, well, who do you want to win? I'm like, well, Jaguars are the David in this scenario, David versus Goliath, and you always got to cheer for the David. And so I'm a Chiefs fan. I want the Chiefs to win, but man, I wanted to see David beat Goliath at the same time.
Just to add on to that thought, Dad asked me something similar, who I was cheering for, and I said anyone but the Chiefs. So I don't care who beats the Chiefs. I just don't want the Chiefs winning. So
Yeah, I understand that. Real quick before we move on, I just lost.
And I think all of us,
Sorry.
I think all of us felt that way for about 15 years in the Patriots, right? And so it's kind of a dynasty renewed with the Chiefs, right? It's dynasty. You want to see the big dog go down.
I remember cheering for Tom Brady and the Patriots that first year when they beat the Rams, and then never again. So yeah.
That's funny. I was just gonna say real quick. I thought it was interesting when we were talking about Urban Meyer for a moment that he's got to be the only person that goes down as the worst hire in NFL history and possibly one of the best hires in college history. And I find that very interesting. Anyway,
Nick Saban was historically bad NFL coach as well. Him and Urban Meyer are tied for potentially the worst NFL and best college coach.
that's true. I forgot about that about Saban.
We need to write that down as a topic, by the way, to cover, because there's also what's the name of the Panthers coach that just got fired, who was a great coach
Matt
too.
Rule.
Matt Rule. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry.
So, Giants Eagles. So this game was really not what I think any of us expected. I know I said that I thought the Giants were going to go into halftime with the lead. And I think we all said something, like that it was going to be a good game, really close, and it wasn't at all. Eagles win 38-7. They come in there and they show why they're their number one seed. Let's see. I think they did a pretty good job at the Eagles defense did a really good job at keeping Jones contained and Barkley, low yardage. I think he only had 61 yards total, which I think for Barkley is pretty low for a game. And so the Eagles defense showed up, and then of course when you have Hurts, and then you have Sanders, Brown, Smith, you've got a dynamic offense, and I just don't think the Giants had enough in their tank to stop that. And so, yeah, your guys' thoughts?
I was very impressed. We all kind of looked at the Giants beating the Vikings and saying, "Wow, this team is a lot better than we think." And to come in and says, "We all think they're gonna do okay against the Eagles." And Eagles were just a juggernaut. They're fantastic in every aspect of the game. Holding the Giants to only 7 points. That's impressive first, and then scoring 38 of their own. Very impressive. I'm betting, to bet on the Eagles to make it to the Super Bowl at this point would be a strong bet. They're strong.
I was looking for a hat because I'm the one wearing a dunce cap here because I predicted the Giants to upset the Eagles to win that game, and that did not happen even a little bit in any aspect. The Eagles completely dominated that game. They were really, really impressive in every single aspect of the game, from coaching to special teams to offense, defense. Everything was top notch. They showed absolutely no rust, and yeah, they're going to be tough to beat.
Okay, moving on to Bengals and Bills. So this was a game I think we all thought was going to be exciting. Obviously, this is a rematch of the canceled game with the Damar Hamlin incident, and we expected something very exciting, and we did get some excitement, but not in the way that we expected. What we saw, at least from my perspective, was a dominant Cincinnati Bengals team that the Bills have for several seasons around, and this season included, put up incredible offensive numbers and have been one of the best offenses that we've seen. And the Bengals held them to 10 points in Buffalo in the snow. That should be Bills' advantage in everything. And the Bengals came in there and just owned it. And so I was extremely impressive, not only with Joe Burrow on the offense, but the defense especially. I was so impressed. Go Bengals.
Yeah. 10 points holding the Bills to, and was there a turnover from Buffalo? There may have been at the very end,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I mean, Buffalo has had some problems turning it over, but for the most part, they played relatively clean and just could not move the ball against the Bengals defense. And that's the one thing that's been overlooked, I think, for the Bengals. Their offense, it looks like they're playing backyard football. They're just Joe Burrow is doing everything from the line of scrimmage perfectly. Like he looks at the line of scrimmage. He's playing. I think the announcers compared it to Peyton Manning football. You have 4 receivers. He gets up the
Yes.
line. He sees where everything is going, and he calls the right play in the huddle, gets it out quickly, and completes it. And Joe Burrow, I think Dustin, you predicted it last week that he was going to show that he was a top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1 quarterback, and he proved it. I think he threw, what was it, 2 touchdowns, ran for another one, or 3, no, threw 3 touchdowns. That's what he did. No interceptions again. He was fantastic, and they dominated the Bills from start to finish. We talked about the Eagles as a really really good team. Don't overlook the Bengals. Everyone else has this year, and that's why they're refunding 15,000 tickets. So
Yeah. At this point, I think I think a really fun Super Bowl would be a Bengals and Eagles Super Bowl at this point. That'd be really interesting to see. Anyway, yeah, I was looking at it, and yeah, Josh Allen had 1 touchdown, and that was just running a touchdown, and I think on a 3rd and goal play. Um, I think that was also near the end. I'm not sure that was near the end of the game or not, but he only had that, and then he had 1 interception he threw. Joe Burrow threw for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Joe Mixon for over 100 yards rushing. And then that Bengals defense, as we talked about. I think the Bengals. I think you said last week, Scott, that this Bengals defense may be one of the best defenses we've seen. Period. I think you said that something along those lines. Top 5 or top 10 ever, or something like that. And am I quoting you right or no?
I think they're a top 10 unit in the league in every category right this year. But
Okay.
that's what.
Anyway, they're really impressive to watch defensively, and a lot of fun to watch offensively. Um, and I thought from the start of the season that they were going to make it back to the Super Bowl, and I think they will. I think they can do it.
Okay.
I think it's noteworthy that we all predicted a Bengals victory, but we were expecting, a 12 round fight. And this ended up just being
A knockout.
just a knockout. Yeah, a knockout to continue that boxing analogy. Thank you.
Yeah. Final game of last week, Cowboys 49ers. We all predicted it to be a close game. It was the closest of the 4 games. And it was a defensive battle all the way through. Both defenses were fantastic. It was fun to watch. If you're a defensive fan, watching those defenses, both of them kind of ruin each other's plans. 49ers, when they win the turnover battle, they win the game. Happened this week too. They won 2-1 in the turnover battle, and they won the game. It really was, as a 49ers fan watching it, you get to this point where the 49ers always have these slow first halves, it seems, and you gotta ride the wave until they get to the second half, and then they really have that one drive. And you know which drive I'm talking about, the one where George Kittle bobbles it 5 times and off of his face mask, and goes down and big play, and then Brock Purdy leading them on that touchdown drive that eventually puts that game away. That was a really close game between 2 really really good teams, and 49ers came out on top.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch both Nick Bosa play and Michael Parsons play. Micah Parsons, also both of them are just talented, amazing, all around defenders. One thing I want to mention though is I was watching Good Morning Football this morning, and something that they were talking about with Michael Parsons is he's like a positionless guy. He can play linebacker easily. He can defensive end. He can jump into safety. It seems like kind of like a Fred Warner, kind of player, and he's just electric to watch. Really exciting, and one of the best defensive players in the league, easily, hands down. And this is his second year, I believe. And so the Cowboys got a real gem in him. And but of course, Nick Bosa as well is just damaging, destructive, um, always getting through the line. Dak Prescott, he I think he sealed their loss by throwing 2 picks in the game. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Jerry Jones laid down some real insults on his quarterback Dak Prescott. I thought was interesting. I don't know if he saw those, but he was basically said that he thought he could trust his quarterback, and apparently he can't. Something along those lines. Anyway, it was a fun game, really close, closer than I think I thought it would be, but it was fun to watch defensively.
Yeah, this was definitely a reminiscent of a '90s rivalry game. It had that kind of emotion feel to it. Um, not a high scoring, strong defense, lots of field goals, things like that. Not a lot of fireworks there, but it had that emotion where every play was personal to both teams, especially on the defensive end. Um, Overall, impressive win by the 49ers. Excited to see what happens this week.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into this week and let's just continue the rotation. I think Cody, you're up with the opening game.
Yeah, so first game is going to be the 49ers at the Eagles in Philadelphia Sunday at 3 o'clock. And right now, I think the Eagles, according to ESPN, are favored by 3. Well, technically 2.5, but 3. Excuse me. And sorry. So I was looking at reviewing the game a little bit. We've got 2 good defenses again, and 2 dynamic, explosive offenses. So almost kind of looks like this, you know, um, a little bit better of an offense of the Cowboys, but basically Cowboys Niners again, but in Philadelphia in a way. And I think that this is the game that Brock Purdy is really going to get feeling the nerves. And I think that he's been doing really well. He's going to still do well, but I just think that he's going to feel the nerves more being at such a big stage at this point. Conference championship game, Super Bowl on the line, and I think that that defense and playing in Philly is gonna rattle him a little bit, and I think that's gonna make it hard on their offense to produce as much as they would like. I think offensively for Philadelphia, they're going to be able to really just do their game plan. I think it'll be a close game defensively, a little bit low scoring comparatively, and I think that it's going to be Eagles 24-17.
Okay, so you're predicting Eagles to the Super Bowl. I'm also predicting Eagles to the Super Bowl victory. Final score 31-17. I think the Eagles are going to be able to do okay offensively. I think they're going to score a touchdown every quarter. Add a field goal in on one of those, but ultimately be able to execute their game plan as they want. 49ers just aren't able to keep up to the same pace offensively. Ultimately, kind of along the same lines, Cody, that quarterback Purdy is just gonna seeing the score as it's down, and especially in the fourth quarter, going to be trying to make it all up in a few plays and be forcing a lot of deep passes 30 yards down the field that can end up at interceptions, things like that. Maybe a couple of those in the fourth quarter as he's trying to make it all up in one play. But ultimately, Eagles execute their game plan very well and win 31-17.
Yeah, 49ers are playing on the road for the first time in these playoffs, and it's at Lincoln Financial, and we all know that Eagles fans are really nice people, so it's going to be a really easy environment. Yeah, sure. No, it's going to be tough for the 49ers, I think, but at the same time, defense travels, right? It's the one thing that really can travel. And so I expect a big game of adjustments, defensive battle at first, at least between two really good defenses. The Eagles lead the league in sacks, if you didn't know that, as a team. So they're going to sack Brock Purdy at least 4 times in this game. They're going to take away chances of those deep passes. They'll force the Niners to go to the length of the field in 10 or more plays if they want to score. Meanwhile, I think the Niners are going to frustrate the Eagles. The Niners have the athleticism to match up against Jalen Hurts, to match up against the receivers on the outside, to match up against the running backs. They're going to take away what Jalen Hurts loves to do. They're going to have a spy. It's going to be Fred Warner, who has that athleticism to work with Brock Purdy. He's not going to find all those receivers down the field he wants to. It's going to turn into a running game from both sides. Both teams love to run the football. That's what it's going to turn into in the second half, is a running game back and forth. There's going to be more offense in the second half. In the end, it's going to come down to a kick to win the game. Did you know that Robbie Gould is perfect in the postseason? He has never missed a kick in the playoffs, ever. He is 28 for 28. 49ers are going to win this game 30-27 with a field goal at the end to send the 49ers to the second Super Bowl in 4 years. I understand that I'm a 49ers fan and that my bias may be creeping into this. I realize that. I also realize that I've predicted the Eagles to lose twice in a row, and maybe I don't believe the Eagles as much as everyone else does. I understand all of this. No matter what, I'm saying the 49ers win on a kick 30-27.
All right, so my turn to move on with the Bengals Chiefs. Scott, I know you're trying to manifest with your prediction here to make that happen. But moving on with the Bengals and Chiefs, we've all said how impressed we are with the Bengals and how dangerous they are. And then the Chiefs, they've been just as dangerous as they've ever been. Ultimately, I think that this is going to be a great game, a close game, something exciting. I am going to predict that this game goes into overtime and Chiefs have a walk-off touchdown. Yep, Chiefs have a walk-off touchdown. Chiefs win 30-24 and a walk-off touchdown in overtime. So I think it's going to be very exciting. Again, overtime game, and then Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce in overtime are just gonna make it happen with a walk-off touchdown.
Okay. So I'm trying to think how to start this. This game is going to be different for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is not going to be anywhere near 100%. There's even question whether he can play or not. He's saying that he's going to play, but if he's even 50%, I'd be shocked. He's not going to have the improvisational skills to where he runs around and finds people when plays break down. It's going to have to go through the quick strike offense, which works. Obviously, get it to Travis Kelce 15 times again, but and other so it's going to have to go organically through offense rather than how Patrick Mahomes loves to operate. And so Andy Reid is a great coach. He's going to devise a game plan that works toward the new strengths of this team. Even on a 50% ankle, Patrick Mahomes is better than 26 of the quarterbacks in the NFL, right? And so, but on a bad ankle, Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes when Patrick Mahomes is on a bad ankle. And so the Bengals are going to continue their explosive play. They're going to match last week's 14-0 start. That's going to force the Chiefs to have to play more aggressive and quicker than they would want. Because the way the Chiefs win this game is by controlling it. They have to use their backs more out of the backfield and everything. And they want to be on the attack mainly, but they're going to have to force the Bengals offense to stay off the field. And that's not going to happen anymore once the Bengals go up 14-0. So the Bengals defense is going to get after Mahomes big time. They're going to hit him at least 10 times in this game. They're going to force him to get up slower and slower each time. It's going to be a little hard to watch, honestly. But Mahomes is going to show his toughness. He's going to get up each time. He's going to make amazing plays to keep the game close. But in the end, this injury is going to be costly. The Bengals are going to be too much. Bengals win 34-24.
I'm really surprised at some of the stuff that you said, Scott, mostly just because it's like echoing what I was already thinking in a lot of things. I think I don't necessarily know exactly if the Bengals will get up 14-0, but I do see them going into the half 17-7. Bengals up on the Chiefs. I think that I also agree that this injury that Mahomes is dealing with is really going to impact, because he obviously always, he loves to run out of the pocket, makes those off platform throws, which he is just excels in, and he's not really going to be able to do that very well in this game. But like you're saying, Scott, Andy Reid is an amazing coach, and he knows exactly what to do. So he's gonna devise a really good game plan. But in the end, I think that this is almost like a new rivalry game between these two teams. It really is. I think the Bengals have won the last three meetings, three or four meetings between. Okay, three meetings between the Chiefs, and so the Chiefs are out for blood. They really want this. They want the win almost as much as they just want to get to the Super Bowl. And so it's going to be a hard fought one, but I agree that Mahomes' ankle is going to cost him some. Travis Kelce's going to have a heck of a game because he's going to get the ball 20 plus times, and at the end of the game, Travis Kelce should definitely be on that list of Offensive Player of the Year. If he isn't already, I don't think he is, but he should be on that list. But the Bengals are going to win this game. I think it's going to be 31-23.
Okay. So we're kind of
good. I'm excited. So I'm excited that we have three different Super Bowl predictions between the three of us.
true.
Scott's prediction is 49ers Bengals. Cody's is Eagles Bengals, and mine is Eagles Chiefs.
All three would be great games. This is a perfect Final Four. These are the four best teams in the NFL, in my opinion.
I agree.
And so this is a great Final Four. I expect both games to be good, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So let's I think we still have more than 10 minutes, and so actually let me go through the scores as well from last week. Cody had a great week, and he jumped ahead of Dustin, by the way. Let me pull those up again so I have those available to look at. Sorry. Okay, so Cody got both the Philadelphia win and the Cincinnati win. Got those spreads correct, and so he got those extra 2 points there, and jumped ahead to 13 points. Dustin got the Kansas City spread correctly, and is now at 12 points. And I got one this week. I got the 49ers win. In fact, I got it perfectly. I didn't get the score perfect. I got the score perfect. I predicted 49ers by 7. 49ers won by 7. So I did win that one. And so, but I'm still way behind both of you. I'm at 8 points. So right now it's 13-12 to 8. So we got a little under 10 minutes. We're going to try to hit our memory if the rest of us are okay with that.
Yep. So sticking with football right now, but deviating a little bit over to college football. Um, I wanted to take just a moment to talk about the kick six that happened. It was in 2013 between the number, I think it was number one ranked Alabama versus the number four ranked Auburn Tigers. Really good matchup. Iron Bowl. I think it was like the last game I think of the season to determine who's going to go to the SEC championship. And it was last seconds of the game. Alabama got themselves in a position where they were pretty far from the field goal, but they wanted to try it anyway. I don't remember. It was 60 something, I think, at least 60 something yards, I think.
I think it was
That
59.
was it okay, 59. So for college, really far. Justin Tucker would be like, oh, yeah, no biggie. But college, they decided to go for it, and Auburn said, "All right, well, we're gonna put someone back here and see what happens." Kick the ball, and sure enough, they don't make it. And at that point, and I wish I could remember who returned it, but
Chris,
okay, what's his
Chris
name?
Davis.
Chris Davis. Okay, Chris Davis at that point received the field goal and ran a 109-yard return that was electric through the defenders. And let me tell you, if you haven't already watched this, go watch it, and the commentator will make you so excited as well. You can just hear him like kind of like nonchalantly like, oh, this isn't gonna work kind of thing. He's like, okay, he caught it, he's moving to the 10, to the 20, to the 25, 30. Once he gets to the 50, he's like 45, 45, and just starts screaming and yelling. He's like, I can't believe it, they're with the game. And he loses it. And it just kind of makes me just smile. It's just so fun to watch that and to listen to the commentator yell about that. Um, and and I don't remember. I don't know where I was, but I don't remember watching this game live. I remember hearing about it and watching the highlights. Um, and so, anyway, if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. It's really just fun to watch. It's rare, extremely rare for things like this to happen. Any return of to happen from that far is really rare. But in this circumstance specifically, to win the game was just amazing.
Yeah, it was such an exciting moment and such an exciting game. Obviously, this is a rivalry. This is a huge rivalry, one of the biggest, especially in SEC. Um, and for it to end in such an amazing fashion was just so fun as a fan of football and just a fan of sports. Hell, a fan of emotion. Like that's if you like feeling emotions, this is a great moment to watch. Um, and I think that what happened, right? They kicked an extremely long field goal, and he caught it and returned it. And I think when he got to 20 or 30 yard line, I think Nick Saban probably realized I have my field goal team whose job is to block. Now they have to tackle. That's not their job. So now we have a whole bunch of linemen, offensive linemen, who set up on the kicking team that have to go chase down a 4-4 45-star recruit and try to tackle him when they've had very little tackle training at all at any time in their career. It's not their job. And it's just kind of as soon as they kicked it, as soon as he caught it, it's complete advantage Auburn. Advantage 100% Auburn at this point because they got blockers. They got an explosive kick returner against people that do not train to tackle. And so it's amazing. We see how strategy changes since then. That even even in that situation, teams were like, nope, I'm going to overtime. I'm not even going to risk it. I'm not going to kick it. Or if you get a last minute interception, it's go down, go out of bounds. Don't try to run it. You're gonna fumble it. Somebody's gonna pick it up and go. That's happened before too. So exciting, so fun, and it's changed strategy of football since that time.
Yeah. A couple things on this one, and I was going to say very similar thing to you, Dustin, about offensive lineman trying to chase down a wide receiver who is the normal kick returner for the team anyway. And so a couple things. First of all, the kick wasn't bad at all. Like it was, he couldn't make it 59. He made it about 55 or 56 though. It was really, really close to going in. So you can see Nick Saban's face afterwards, obviously really disappointed, but I don't remember. I didn't read coming up to this game what he thought, but I bet he would make that decision 9 times out of 10 to try to kick that field goal. Maybe, like you said now, Dustin, maybe it's a little bit different, considering you can, but with all the different strategies in place. But he makes that kick, he wins that game. What's the chance that a guy takes it 109 yards back? Not good, but he did in this case, right? Um, so I mean, you go for the win, right? And you can see in the crowds. I love it's now a meme. There's one guy in the crowd with his hands over his head and just his jaws about in the bleachers. An Alabama fan that couldn't believe what was happening there, and such a huge moment that happened in that game. And Auburn went to the SEC championship game, and I wish that I did a little bit more research to find out what they did. Does anyone remember what happened after that? So anyway, we don't have a lot of time to look at that a whole lot more, but let me say one thing. I worked for a while with an RV News I worked for RV News, which recreational vehicles, and we had some freelance writers. I went to a conference with one of these freelance writers. She grew up in Alabama, went to the University of Alabama, and everything she did, pretty much she ended every conversation with "Roll Tide." It was, and so I was sitting down talking to her during this conference where we had a break. I brought up, so I have to ask you, and she kind of looked at me, and I said, what did you think of that kick six game? And she said, don't even bring it up. Don't even bring it up. And she said that was the worst moment of my life, is what she said. So I mean, down there in Alabama and Arkansas and where we're from, and that part of the country is different about college football. SEC country is different. Those games between Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and Florida and Tennessee and Florida as well, but all of those, they matter more than any other thing that happens that season, right? For those teams, it doesn't matter what happens as long as your team beats that other team, and that's quite a way to end that game. So I'll stop there if Cody has any additional thoughts for last minute.
Yeah, just real quick, just to answer what you were asking originally, Auburn went on to play Florida State in that championship game, which is actually the one that Jameis Winston went on to win. And so, yeah, Florida State rallied to defeat Auburn in that game. But that's all I have to say about that. And just, gosh, I love sports.
All right, we will talk next week. I think we'll recap the conference championship games and then have a lot of time for a lot of stuff else. So we'll talk to you all then. Check out the things we talked about and give us your comments about what you think. Happy football.